Success doesn't arrive all at once. It doesn't knock at your door unannounced with a grand fanfare. It comes quietly, disguised as discipline. It grows steadily, hidden in the soil of daily routine. What you do daily, those small habits, the repeated choices, the silent commitments, these are not trivial. They are everything. You don't become successful overnight. You become successful daily in the little things. A man who studies a little every day, reads a few pages each night, plans each morning. He doesn't just gather knowledge, he becomes wise. A woman who exercises regularly, eats mindfully, speaks kindly. She doesn't just stay healthy, she becomes vibrant, magnetic, whole. You see, your life is always heading somewhere. And that direction is shaped not by what you occasionally do, but by what you do consistently. People want change, but they resist the process that produces change. They want the harvest without planting the seed. But there's a law working here. You reap what you sow, and sowing is daily. You want wealth? Then spend wisely each day, invest consistently, save a little, budget a lot. You want to be respected? Then speak with integrity, listen more than you talk, show up on time every day. You want a stronger spiritual life? Then open the scriptures every morning, pray before the world wakes up, walk humbly every day. Every day is a brick in the building of your life. And here's the truth, either you're building something great or something that will fall apart when the storms come. Don't waste your bricks on distractions. Don't spend your days reacting instead of creating. When you choose growth, even in small ways, you are no longer a prisoner of circumstance. You become a participant in your own transformation. You don't just wait for life to happen, you shape it. Not through massive leaps, but through faithful, focused steps. The mediocre wait for motivation. The great live by discipline. The average hope for a breakthrough. The excellent become the breakthrough by doing what must be done every single day. So take inventory of your habits. Look at what you do when no one's watching, because in the end, success is not one giant decision. It is 1,000 little ones. And failure is not a sudden collapse. It's a daily drift. What you do daily is what you become. And that means you can become anything if you start today. Success never comes wrapped in mystery. It doesn't arrive in a sudden flash or fall from the sky like some golden prize. It's hidden in plain sight, woven quietly into the fabric of your daily routine. It's not one big moment that makes the difference. It's the 1,000 little moments you often overlook. You want to know where success is found? Look at what you do when the alarm rings in the morning. Look at how you spend your lunch break. Look at what you do after work when no one is watching. That's where it lives. The truth is, people don't decide their future. They decide their habits, and their habits decide their future. If you're waiting for a breakthrough, it's not around the corner. It's in your next small decision. The road to success isn't built on occasional bursts of effort. It's built on steady, repeated actions. It's the person who reads a few pages every day, who writes a little, who learns something new daily, who makes progress, slow but steady, while others wait for the perfect time. The world loves stories of overnight success, but if you dig deeper, you'll always find years of quiet effort behind every sudden victory. The real winners are those who show up even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when no one claps for them. They don't need applause because they've built momentum. And that momentum is a product of their habits. You don't have to be extreme. You don't need to change your whole life overnight. But you do need to be consistent. 5 push-ups a day won't get you ripped tomorrow, but 5 push-ups a day, every day, with a little increase over time, will build strength. Reading 1 page a day won't make you a genius, but 1 page a day, every day, can change your mindset, expand your vision, sharpen your thinking. The difference between average and excellent isn't found in talent or intelligence, it's found in repetition. The winners just do simple things, over and over. Some people wait for inspiration, but the inspired are usually those who built discipline first. They didn't wait to feel good, they committed to doing good. And over time, the feeling followed. Action creates momentum, and momentum is a secret weapon that turns small habits into big change. It's like a snowball. It starts tiny, but roll it every day and soon it becomes something massive. That's how success works. If you want to change your life, don't look at the big picture first. Zoom in. Look at today. How did you start your morning? What did you do with your free time? Did you invest in yourself or did you let the day run on autopilot? These aren't small questions. They are the most important ones. Because the direction of your life is not determined by the days you remember, but by the days you repeat. No one drifts into excellence. You drift into mediocrity. Excellence requires intention. It means saying yes to growth when comfort is calling. It means doing what you said you'd do long after the feeling you had when you said it is gone. It's brushing your teeth, not once a month, but every morning and every night. Simple, unexciting, but necessary. That's the pattern of all growth. Simple, unexciting, but necessary. Think about where you want to be in a year. Now look at what you're doing today. If the two don't match, something has to change. But you don't have to change everything, just one thing. Maybe it's getting up 30 minutes earlier. Maybe it's journaling your goals. Maybe it's spending 10 minutes with a book instead of 10 minutes scrolling your phone. The habit may seem small, but the outcome won't be. Greatness is not hidden behind some giant curtain. It's hiding in your schedule. It's in the choice to walk instead of sit. It's in drinking water instead of soda. It's in making the call instead of putting it off. It's in keeping your promises, especially to yourself. And over time, these small wins stack up. They build a life. They define who you become. So if you want success, stop looking for a shortcut. Start looking at your habits, because they're not just what you do. They're shaping who you are. And who you become tomorrow starts with what you do today. Success is not a mystery. It's not luck. It's hidden in your daily habits. And it's available to anyone who's willing to pay attention. Your life doesn't just happen. It's not shaped by luck or by chance, and it's certainly not controlled by other people. Your life moves in the direction of your habits, your routine, the simple things you do every day. Those are the quiet architects of your future. If you want to know where you're headed, don't look at your dreams. Look at your routine. That will tell you everything. We all want something more success, more fulfillment, better health, stronger relationships, deeper purpose. But wanting is not enough. Desire without action is just hope. And hope is not a strategy. The truth is, the future belongs to those who are willing to build it brick by brick. And those bricks are laid down daily through the structure of routine. The way you start your day matters. If you roll out of bed late, skip breakfast, and stumble into your day in a rush, you're setting yourself up to be reactive instead of proactive. But if you take charge of your morning, even with something as simple as a quiet moment, a short walk, or writing down your goals, you retelling the world, "And I'm driving this ship." And when you take the wheel each day, you begin to shape the direction of your life. Too many people live their lives on autopilot. They get up, go through the motions, do what they did yesterday, and wonder why nothing changes. But the truth is, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. Change your routine, and you change your outcome. It's as simple and as difficult as that. You see, routine creates rhythm, and rhythm leads to momentum. When you establish a healthy rhythm, waking up early, learning something new each day, feeding your body well, investing in your relationships, you build a foundation that can support success, not the kind of success that flashes for a moment and disappears. Real success, the kind that lasts. Routine creates stability. It gives you a track to run on when the emotions wear off, because let's face it, there are days when you won't feel like showing up. There are days when motivation disappears. But when you've built a strong routine, you don't need motivation. You need discipline. You don't have to think about whether or not you'll do the work. You just do it because it's part of your life now. Every great achiever you admire has built their life on routine. They may not have started with talent. They may not have had money or connections, but they had one thing in common: structure. They chose how to spend their mornings. They protected their time. They stayed consistent when others quit. And over time, their routine shaped a future that matched their effort. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. If your system is strong, if your daily habits are in alignment with your vision, then the future is not a matter of if, but when. But if your routine is filled with distraction, delay, or disorder, don't be surprised when your future doesn't look the way you hoped. The beautiful part of all this is that you are not a prisoner of your past. It doesn't matter what you've done up to this point. What matters is what you choose to do next and what you choose to repeat. The future is not waiting to be discovered. It's waiting to be created. And every time you follow through on a good habit, every time you stick to your routine, you are casting a vote for the person you want to become. So take a look at your day. Not just the big moments, the little ones too. What are you feeding your mind? Who are you spending time with? How do you use your quiet hours? These things matter more than you think, because every routine is a seed, and every seed has a harvest. The question is, are you planting weeds or are you planting fruit? Your routine is not just a schedule. It's a mirror. It reflects what you truly value. It reveals what you're really committed to. And it predicts what your life will look like, not just next week, but 5 years from now. If you want to shape a different future, don't just dream, design, don't just wish. Work. Shape your routine, and it will shape your destiny. Motivation feels good. It's that spark, that energy, that fire in the belly that says, Vince, let's go. It makes things seem possible, even easy. But motivation is a visitor. It shows up when it wants to and disappears when you need it most. It's like the wind, unpredictable and temporary. That's why success can't be built on motivation. It's too unreliable. What you really need is discipline. Discipline is different. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't wait for inspiration. It doesn't need a perfect mood, a good night's sleep, or the right music playing in the background. Discipline shows up when motivation runs out. It gets out of bed when the body says, stay. It laces up the shoes when the mind says, maybe tomorrow. Discipline is what keeps you going when the excitement is gone. Most people wait until they feel like doing something. They wait for the mood to strike, for the timing to feel right. But those who achieve something great know that if they waited for the perfect moment, they'd be waiting forever. Winners act. They don't wait to feel like it. They know that feelings follow actions, not the other way around. And once you act, motivation often shows up as a result, not a requirement. Think about the athlete who trains every morning before the sun is up. Do you think they leap out of bed every day excited to sweat, to hurt, to stretch their limits? No. But they do it anyway. Not because they're always motivated, but because they're disciplined. It's part of who they are now. The habit has been built, and that's what makes them different. They've learned to separate how they feel from what they do. Discipline is what creates consistency, and consistency is what creates results. You might be motivated to eat clean for a week, but only discipline will keep you doing it for a year. You might be motivated to read a book tonight, but only discipline will help you build a habit of learning. You might be motivated to save money this month, but only discipline will give you financial freedom years from now. That's why discipline is worth more than motivation. It builds something deeper, something stronger. It turns effort into identity. When you practice discipline, you're not just doing something hard, you're becoming someone different. Each time you choose to follow through, even when you don't feel like it, you reinforce the kind of person you are. A finisher, a builder, someone who can be trusted by others and by yourself. You see, motivation is emotional. Discipline is strategic. It's not about excitement. It's about commitment. It's about deciding in advance how you will act and then honoring that decision no matter how the day unfolds. It's saying, this is what I said I'd do. And doing it even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. That's when the real growth happens, in discomfort. Not when it's easy, not when you feel good, but when it's hard and you still move forward. That's the moment when your character expands. That's the moment when results begin to take root, not in the thrill of starting, but in the grind of continuing. So if you're serious about growth, about health, success, wealth, wisdom, stop chasing motivation. It's nice when it shows up, but don't depend on it. Instead, develop discipline. Make a plan and keep it. Start small if you must, but stay steady. And over time, the results will speak louder than any burst of enthusiasm. Motivation may get you started, but only discipline will keep you going. And in the end, the rewards don't go to the most excited, they go to the most committed. The ones who showed up again and again, long after the feeling was gone. Discipline isn't a punishment. It's a gift you give yourself. It's the pathway to freedom, to confidence, to fulfillment. Because when you do what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel, you gain control over your life. And that's the kind of power no one can take from you. We live in a world that celebrates the dramatic. The big gesture, the overnight success, the massive breakthrough, that's what gets the attention. People love the flash, the intensity, the story of someone who went all in for a week and changed everything. But real success doesn't usually work that way. Real success is quiet, steady, and sometimes even boring. Because in the end, it's not intensity that wins, it's consistency. Anyone can go hard for a short time. Anyone can have a burst of energy, push through for a few days, make a bold declaration. That's not hard. What's hard is showing up day after day. What's hard is sticking to the basics when no one is watching. What's hard is doing the right thing over and over long after the excitement wears off. And that's what separates the average from the excellent. The person who runs 5 miles one day and then quits for a month gets nowhere. But the person who walks 1 mile every day, rain or shine, builds strength, endurance, and confidence. The same goes for learning. Cramming for 12 hours straight might get you through a test, but reading for 30 minutes every day will change how you think for life. It's not about the sprint. It's about the marathon. It's about putting one foot in front of the other every day. Consistency builds trust. It builds credibility. People can rely on you, not because you're the loudest or the fastest, but because you're steady. You do what you say you'll do. You show up, not just when you feel like it, not just when it's convenient, but all the time. That kind of reliability is rare, and it's powerful. Even more than that, consistency builds momentum, and momentum is a secret weapon. The first few days of a new habit might feel hard. You're pushing against old patterns. You don't see results, but if you stick with it, just a little bit each day, you start to build rhythm. Things get easier. Progress compounds. And soon, what once felt impossible becomes natural. Intensity burns hot, but it burns out fast. Consistency, on the other hand, builds a fire that lasts. It doesn't drain you. It strengthens you. It becomes part of your identity. You don't have to think about it anymore. You just do it. And that's where transformation happens, not in the dramatic moments, but in the daily disciplines. People often ask, what's the best strategy? What's the secret to success? And the answer is simple. Whatever you're willing to do consistently, the best workout, best business plan, the best reading habit, it only works if you stick with it. The power isn't in the plan, it's in your follow-through. Consistency creates character. It teaches you patience. It forces you to let go of perfection and focus on progress. You stop asking, did I do it perfectly? And start asking, did I show up? Because showing up is the real win. The person who shows up, even when it's messy, even when it's slow, is the one who eventually gets results. It's easy to be intense for a moment. It's rare to be consistent for a lifetime. But that's where greatness lives, in the day-to-day, in the routine, in the habit of doing the simple things well and often. You don't need to impress anyone. You just need to keep going. So whatever it is you're working toward, a healthier body, a stronger mind, a better career, forget the shortcuts. Forget the hype. Just start. And then do it again tomorrow. And the next day. And the next. Even if it's just a little. Because small steps taken daily will always beat big leaps taken once. In the end, the world won't remember your flashes of intensity, but it will remember your consistency. And more importantly, so will you. Because that's what builds a life you can be proud of. Not the things you did once, but the things you kept doing long after the feeling faded. Consistency beats intensity every time. You don't need a fortune teller to predict your future. You just need to look at what you do every day. Because who you are becoming isn't some big mystery. It's being shaped right now by the small repeated actions of your daily life. You become what you repeatedly do, not what you occasionally wish for, not what you talk about, what you do. That truth is both sobering and empowering. It's sobering because it means if your days are filled with distractions, excuses, or delays, you're not just wasting time, you're becoming someone who settles. But it's empowering because if your days are filled with learning, discipline, and effort, even in small doses, you're becoming someone of value. You don't have to change everything overnight. You just have to start repeating the right things. Repetition is a law of life. Every time you repeat a thought, it becomes a belief. Every time you repeat an action, it becomes a habit. And every habit begins to build your identity. You start to believe, this is who I am. And whether that identity is one of strength or weakness, growth or decline, all depends on the patterns you're living out. If you spend your days complaining, you're not just letting off steam, you're training your mind to see problems. If you spend your days making excuses, you're becoming a master at self-deception. But flip that around. If you spend your days being grateful, you're training your heart to see blessings. If you spend your days taking action, you're becoming someone who gets results. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency. Anyone can work hard for a week, but that doesn't change who you are. It's what you do over months and years that transforms you. Character is not built in a day. Excellence is not created in a weekend, but day after day, action after action, they begin to take shape. The beauty of this truth is that it puts the power in your hands. You don't need to wait for permission. You don't need to wait for a big opportunity. You just need to make the next right choice and then repeat it. Over time, repetition creates rhythm. Rhythm creates identity. and identity determines destiny. Look at the most successful people in any field. They didn't get there by doing amazing things once. They got there by doing the right things over and over, the right or rights every day, not just when inspiration hits. The athlete trains even when they don't feel like it. The business owner makes the hard decisions day in and day out. It's not glamorous, but it's powerful. And the same goes for failure. You don't fail all at once. You fail gradually, one poor choice at a time, one ignored opportunity, one compromise, one day of laziness that turns into a habit. And before long, the life you didn't want becomes the life you have. But the good news is, just like failure is built day by day, so is success. If you want to be healthy, you don't need a perfect diet. You need a consistent one. If you want to be wise, you don't need to read a library. You need to read a little every day. If you want to be wealthy, you don't need a windfall. You need smart decisions repeated over time. It's about the long game. And the long game is won with daily moves. Excellence is not an act. It's a habit. It's not something you turn on when needed. It's something that becomes a part of you. So the real question isn't, what do I want? But what am I becoming? And to answer that, look at your routine. Look at the things you do without thinking, because those are the bricks building your future. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be intentional. Start small. Do something today that your future self will thank you for. Then do it again tomorrow and the next day. And let those repetitions shape your character, sharpen your mind, and set the direction of your life. Because at the end of the day, you are not what you say you'll do. You are what you repeatedly do. So build your habits, guard your routine, and choose your repetitions wisely, because they are writing the story of who you're becoming. Every day, whether you realize it or not, you're casting a vote. Not with a ballot, not with a show of hands, but with your choices, your habits, your focus. Each day is a vote for the person you're becoming. Every action is a mark toward your future self. And the truth is, you don't become successful all at once. You become successful one decision, one habit, one day at a time. Think of your life like an election. You've got two candidates, the person you are now and the person you want to become. Every decision you make is a vote for one or the other. When you get up early and use your time wisely, that's a vote for growth. When you hit snooze for the 5th time and let the morning drift away, that's a vote for stagnation. When you choose discipline over comfort, you're voting for your future. When you give in to procrastination, you're voting for the version of you that stays the same. And here's the powerful part. No single day determines the outcome. One bad choice doesn't ruin your life. One good choice doesn't instantly transform it. But the votes add up. The pattern builds. Eventually, the side you consistently vote for starts to win. Your actions begin to shape your identity, and your identity begins to guide your actions. That's how transformation happens. Not through a dramatic moment, but through a steady accumulation of intentional days. This idea is freeing because it reminds you that change is always within reach. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You just need to cast the right vote today, then again tomorrow, and the next day. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. You need to keep showing up and casting the kind of vote that supports the future you want to see. Small decisions matter. The choice to read for 15 minutes instead of scrolling your phone, that's a vote for a sharper mind. The decision to save a little money instead of spending impulsively, that's a vote for financial freedom. Choosing to go for a walk instead of staying on the couch, that's a vote for health. None of these choices are dramatic on their own. But together, repeated over time, they change the direction of your life. And the opposite is just as true. Skipping the workout, spending recklessly, putting off your goals, these are also votes. But they're votes for the status quo, or worse, for decline. That's why your habits matter. Not because one bad day ruins everything, but because 1,000 unnoticed choices become your life. One missed day is just a bump. A missed week is a signal. A missed month is a pattern. The key is to stay aware and intentional before that pattern becomes your identity. You're not stuck. You're not too late. You're not too far gone. You're just a few daily votes away from a new direction. And the most exciting part, you get to vote again every day. Every morning is a new opportunity to move closer to the person you want to become. You don't need permission. You don't need the stars to align. You just need to decide today to cast a better vote. And that decision isn't always easy. Sometimes the votes that matter most are the hardest to cast. Choosing to stay disciplined when no one's watching. Choosing to stick to the plan when progress is slow. Choosing to keep going when it would be easier to quit. but those are the votes that count the most because they're the ones that build character. They're the ones that change your self-image. They're the ones that move the needle. The compound effect is real, and it works whether you're aware of it or not. It doesn't care about your intentions. It follows your actions. So if you want to change your life, don't wait for some big dramatic event. Start with today. What kind of vote are you casting? What kind of future are you building? One choice at a time. Because make no mistake, your future self is watching, and every day you're either preparing for them or disappointing them. Cast your vote wisely. Cast it often, because eventually the results will come in and they'll reflect the person you chose to become one day at a time.